Fairlawn Chamber of Commerce Business Spotlight and Networking event. My name is Alan Cohen. I am Managing Director for Living Great Real Estate here in Fairlawn, and we started this networking and spotlight event to spotlight a couple of companies at a time in this during this pandemic, so that we could stay in front of everybody. Everybody knows that we're still in business. The companies that we're interviewing have lots to say to their clients and their potential clients. So it's a good way for people to stay in touch with what's going on with the members of the Fairlawn Chamber of Commerce. I am also on the board of directors with the Chamber of Commerce, and I do like to thank them for the time allotted to me so that I could speak and spotlight these businesses. Today we had two guests. One guest I'll just mention right now, Howard Post, owner of Graphically Speaking, was unable to attend. I got a text from him this morning. He's actually going to the front line. He has to deliver a bunch of posters and flyers to 3 different hospitals. He just got the job last night, and it's important that he gets it to them. So he'll do a follow-up session with us, and I wish him well and whatever he's doing there with the hospitals. Of course, all the hospitals and the workers, we wish them well as well. Today, though, we do have plenty of time to speak with a company that's from Fairlawn. They're called Sylvan Learning. And today we have the owner of the company, Anthony DiGiacomo, Sylvan owner for over 20 years. And we also have Amy Thies, Sylvan director in Fairlawn for over 5 years, and she is an active chamber member. I'd like to open the floor to them so they can tell you about their company. Anthony and Amy, it's a pleasure to have you with us today. And why don't you say hello and tell us about yourself?
Thanks, Alan. Amy, you can go first.
All right. Well, thank you for having us. And I love that you're doing this, even though we're all working and living virtually. So like you mentioned, I've been running the Sylvan Learning Center for 5+ years. And we, like everybody else, had to do a pretty quick turnaround to providing the services that our families and our students rely on, and doing so, online at this point where we can't be in our physical center, but we're still able to, I think when students need it more than ever before, really provide support, help, guidance, and they're still able to work with our teachers live, one-on-one, and get help with homework or enrichment material, really whatever. SATs, ACTs are still going to happen one day, so we have a lot of students still getting ready for that, and I'm really proud of what we're doing recently.
Terrific.
It's really
could you tell us a little bit what different courses? You said SATs. What other courses do you really teach there? I know mathematics, but if you give us a little scope of the business itself.
Yeah, so we do everything education related for students from pre-kindergarten through college. Most of our programs are rooted in math or reading. We help students with their school homework. We provide Sylvan lessons that, if they are behind, help them catch up. Preparation for SATs and ACTs, as well as other, bigger kind of standardized tests they may have to take. Every student's program is personalized and individualized. So part of my role is working really closely with the families and making sure that what we do in the center is translating to the classroom or the virtual classroom. And we're working on the specific things that each student needs to improve upon or wants to, get better at.
Right. And are they individual classes or small group classes?
Right now, all of our tutoring is live one-on-one. It's sort of like we're doing now, one teacher, one student.
Right.
In our center, we had some different variations, but at the end of the day, all of the programs that the students are working on are one-on-one. They get one-on-one time with the teacher. They get time to practice those skills independently. But right now it's, full. Each student gets 1 hour of, their teacher's face-to-face live online time.
So your brick and mortar places, I believe on Broadway, is that true? So when people come in there, it is one, do you have different individual rooms for them, or are their computers set up in a room, and how did you work that individually in a larger facility?
So we don't have, it's not all separate rooms or like a cubicle type idea. We have separate tables. It would be either one teacher and one student, or one teacher and, working with up to 3 students at a time. But they're all, if you can picture in your head, the table sort of like a horseshoe shape. So the teacher's sort of in the middle, and the students are around her, or if it's one, just right in front of him or her, the teacher. So it wasn't individual like offices, but it's a pretty quiet, almost like a small library study. That's kind of what it looks like.
So you said like a horseshoe. So it could be one teacher and you'll have a few students, but he is going back and forth between the students. So individually they're working on their own computer, but it's not like, okay, class, we're all going to start here today at this, because everybody might be at a different level, right?
Exactly.
Right.
You can have a teacher who's working with one student on 5th grade math homework, and there's another student who's doing Sylvan lessons on, maybe 4th grade math material. So they work, one-on-one, and then they give the student some time to practice it independently.
Sure.
Part of what we need to do is make sure that what they learn in our center, they're able to do on their own when they return to that classroom of 20 or 25 other students.
Right. So you're getting this one instructor, obviously in one subject though at a time. So like you just said, it might be 4th grade math, it might be 6th grade math, whatever. So usually you would get that one instructor obviously is versed in just that topic. I mean, they probably know a lot about many topics, but they're really doing one topic at a time with that group. So
it really depends.
Okay.
All of our teachers, we have some teachers who are, especially in the elementary, even into some middle school level, where they do teach every subject because they're a 4th grade teacher. We have some teachers who are more specialized. They're high school math. They can't do, wouldn't be the right fit for a student who's in 10th grade doing an English paper.
Sure.
So it really depends on, what the teachers, what they do in their schools, or, what level of education they have.
Terrific. So how do you vet out your instructors? They come to you, you go out looking for them. I mean, I'm sure it works both ways, but how do you vet them out and know that they'd be the right match for your company? Because obviously it's the brand, it's your company, and you do have, I know, and we'll talk a little bit more about the main brand of the company, but you have a very good record of doing very well. So you do have an exceptional name that you are promoting. So I'm just wondering how you get the instructors to meet up to your standards. Do you vet them out? Does Anthony vet them out? Or how does that work?
A little bit of both. I think Anthony can speak more to kind of the way what he does.
Again, thanks for having us.
Yes, pleasure.
Thanks for everyone joining us as well. I review the resumes initially, or we'll reach out to different groups, and even through job sites like Indeed, and go through resumes. Sure. We're looking for certain things with all of our teachers, and a lot of people will apply for jobs where I'll do a phone screen with people. So before it ever gets to Amy, I've already been through the resumes. I've had a conversation with the people on the phone, and then she does the interview. Once it gets to Amy, we're looking for a couple of things. We're looking for instant likability with a teacher, that if a student walks in is that teacher instantly likable? Because some students aren't coming willingly in the beginning, right? Some of our high school students who are prepping for big tests, their friends told them that they did well, so they're coming on their own. But there aren't too many fifth graders who call for help with fractions on their own. We've yet to receive that phone call from a fifth grader who says, "Can you help me with my fractions?" So the teacher has to be instantly likable. It doesn't mean they have to be able to juggle and tell funny jokes, but it has to be a real comfortable learning environment. And of course, they have to understand the material that they're teaching. Amy mentioned this. We've had situations where, and we have this now, we have a teacher who, during the day, she teaches high school history. She said, I could do that in the evening too. I'm a little tired of the big guy. I'd like to work with some of the younger students again too. So although her certification is in 7 through 12 for history, she's dying to work with the younger students. She wants to see those third, fourth, fifth graders. So the level of enthusiasm she brings to those students is different than maybe a third grade teacher who has seen third and fourth grade kids all day.
Yeah, right. So, tired of them, want something to change too. Yeah.
Right. So in terms of that vetting process, that's even part of it too. It's really trying to match up teachers with students in the best way possible.
Right.
The other kind of luxury we have is that if a teacher's doing really well, most of our teachers work for us on a part-time basis. They're teaching a classroom during the day and they work with us after school. If you're doing a great job and the students love you, you get more hours. If it turns out that it's not a great fit, we can give fewer hours or no hours. So it's an ongoing process is really the point, is that it's not, okay, we've hired this teacher, we're stuck with her or him, and we thought this person was going to be great and she's not or he's not. No, we can pivot and make changes. Now, ideally, when we have a situation like that, we can train the person. We hired them for a reason. We thought they'd be a good fit. So we want to train the person to be that good fit. And if not, then we're able to move on. I think I appreciate you saying about our reputation in town is we've always looked at it that way. We're just going to put the best team out there that we always can. And that's why we've been around as long as we have. Now we started my wife and I bought our first center in 1999.
Wow.
So, and we've been around a long time, worked with a lot of students. So you mentioned I grew up in Fairlawn as well. So
you bought your first center, the Sylvan Learning Center. Tell us a little bit about the brand itself, because I know the name, of course, when you're looking for a tutor or something, it does come to the top of the list. So a little bit about the brand and why did you pick them? Is your background also in education?
Yes, it is, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm a certified high school English teacher, so but I just chose to teach outside the classroom. We basically kind of built our own classroom through Sylvan, and the idea behind that was we'd only be around if we do a good job, right? Because parents they pay for this. They have to come to us and either hand us a check or hand us a credit card, and they say, "Help my child," right? And if we don't, then parents won't come to our learning center anymore. So we only have survived and thrived this long because we continue to do a good job. I think the one thing we always are kind of up against is people who, at least the people who know of Sylvan, they think it's some giant company and not realizing that it is a local center run locally with local teachers. So when parents walk in and they look through our window and they see a teacher that they know from the area, whether they're from Glen Rock or Fairlawn, that's an exciting thing also. Or they've seen me somewhere and realize, oh, it's not this giant corporation. It's a recognizable name, but it's not run from some remote.
Right, you're individual.
I guess now everything's run from a remote location.
So can I ask a question?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, all right. So are you finding, because I have a friend of mine who's a teacher in the Fairlawn school system, she said to me, 50% of the students are doing 50% of the work. So even though she's working longer hours because of one-on-one, classroom, papers, she says, I'm putting in way more hours now than she did before.
Yeah.
But she's saying, the parents need to have the students do the classwork. And I guess the parents are busy, they're working.
Right.
So the kids aren't doing the classwork. Are you finding that you are getting more people to come to Sylvan? Or are you finding that due to finances, you're getting less people to use your services?
Well, maybe a two-part answer, and thanks for asking it too, is that I don't know it's all due to finances. It may also be due to the first point that you made, that whether the percentage is right, there's something in there that it's 50, whatever the percentage is, students, many of them are doing less work. Teachers, many of them have to assign less work because they don't know the situation of the children at home. And it's always not always just finances. It could be 4 children in a family with 3 devices or 2 devices, or I mean, just so many. I can go through. We could talk about a million different variables. Both parents working, a single parent household, on and on and on. And so finances, you can say, even if finances are an issue at all, the circumstances are just so different. And then you take specific grades. Like if you're the parent of an 8th grader, a lot of those 8th graders are upset that their graduation has been ruined, right? In their mind, it's ruined, and they don't want to do anything. And they know they're still going to be able to graduate, most likely, right? It's very difficult to get seniors in high school. They don't want to do any work either. It's May of their senior year. So you have a couple of grades where kids have, they don't really want to do any work at all. And then there's just, it is a stressful situation for a lot of families. So we've seen, Andrea, is that Amy and I were discussing this before too. Our parents who have already been with us, or some for years, some who started recently, they are more grateful than they were just being in the center. Like we always had happy families. They were happy they were helping their children. Now it's a different type of level of gratitude that we've broken up their day. Their child's getting more one-on-one attention, or even the way we're talking now. They're so thankful for that time, right? That consistency. Our first live session, schools closed on Friday the 12th. Our first live session was on Sunday. We tested it out Sunday night. So some of our students didn't miss one session from that transition. It was very smooth. The second question he asked was, are we seeing more or less families? We are seeing fewer families call us now because of whatever that 50% of the kids are doing 50% of the work, maybe something along those lines. But we think that at some point it may end up being 2 or 3 times the number of families will have to reach out to us for additional support, because what's happened between March and June for a lot of students. And if your numbers are right, boy, it's going to be a lot of work that we have to do, right?
And also, I mean, being realistic with the strong possibility of summer camps being canceled in our neck of the woods. Right. And, the parents are going to need to find things to occupy their kids. And I'm not saying that education is a babysitter, but for them to get caught up and get ready for the next year and have their set hour every other day, or whatever, however your program works, more parents might be looking, because there won't be a camp that the kids should work on their math or their reading or other things that you might be offering in the summertime to learn via fun or something like that, because parents are going to be looking for other outlets, because the kids are not going to be going to camp from 8 a.m. till 4:30 in the afternoon.
Yeah, we've discussed that too. And because when you have camps, you have so many students together, our centers aren't set up like that. So we may have to extend our hours even, so that because we probably won't be able to run, that would be, full capacity with some of the restrictions that will be put in all businesses and all locations. But we do think there will be a lot of families thinking the way you are right now. So, yeah.
I don't have any children. My kids are millennials. So, but just thinking, I'm sorry, I always think in the PR mind, but thinking, of ways to increase the business awareness and have more people sign up for a program. Just switching it around to make, this summer, let's make learning fun. Because
Sure.
summer's not fun. because people are going to look for things to do. And I know that I was on another networking group, and it was a college expert, finding colleges, and she was creating programs for high school juniors to have online internships and what have you. So she was thinking, what am I going to do during the summer months to still have these people interested in my services for looking at colleges and helping them for the senior year beforehand? And I think the pivot is the way to go. But I think that you're going to see more people falling behind. So they're going to realize over the summer, however school will be in session remotely or in person or however in the fall, these kids are going to need help because they didn't do the homework, and maybe mom and dad couldn't help you for those multitude of reasons. So it's, how are the kids going to all be caught up? And I think around the country, you're going to see children of different grades being on different levels because of their learning situation.
Which is going to bring up another interesting point in the coming years. People have very different views about standardized testing, whether it's valuable or not. I think we'll end up seeing the SAT, ACT, all their standardized tests at different grade levels taking on a different level of importance, just to say, like, well, how are these students doing compared to students who went to a full year of school in previous years, so that it'll be a way to measure. Now, the hope will be, it won't be a way to penalize children who did poorly during that time, but at least to make adjustments and pivot, as you said. How do you help those students now if in fact their scores are lower because they missed 4 months of school, and then what do we do? And I think at some level it won't always be like a rush to catch up because they missed all this, let's try and fill in all that information and then stress the students out. But there will be a need to say, well, we miss things no matter what, and how do we do this responsibly and without wiping these kids out, but how do we get them where they need to be and as soon as possible put this all behind us, right?
Can I just jump in and make a comment? Yeah. My name is Evelyn Cohen. Hi, sorry for chiming in a little late. But I just want to say that with regards to what's going on online with training, training all these students all over the country, all over the world, wherever, I'm finding that I'm coming across more and more articles online where substandard quality of learning and training is being observed. I mean, you've got a lot of students that are complaining. I just had my daughter just right this very moment. In fact, I heard her shouting, which is why I wasn't online, but I went up to see what was going on, and she just finished taking a physics exam, for example. She's a college student. She's a med student, college student, and she took a physics exam where the teacher made 12 mistakes on a final. And 6 of the students that were taking the same final caught her on it. And they all remarked, we don't understand. Why didn't you catch this? It's not the first time that it's happening. I'm reading more and more about this. It's appalling, to say the least. But the education is suffering for the kids right now, for, children, college students, whatever grade level they're at. So it's going to be really, really super imperative for educators to really pay attention to what's going on, where we're relying now on, education online. The quality has to be above substandard, to say the least. Are you finding that, Anthony, that, people are complaining to you about that very thing?
Yes, it's a huge issue. And there's some teachers doing an amazing job with it. Obviously, I'm sure some of your daughter's professors have done a fantastic job in that regard. But it's been a challenge for a lot of teachers and the students, even just simple typos where teachers are trying to create material. They'll use like a Google form for a quiz. They'll put the information on there. I'm sure they hit spell check, but sometimes it'll be the wrong word spelled correctly though, and they'll have just missed it. And there's always some human error no matter what. But we have heard a lot of things. The bigger issue seems to have been, at least that Amy and I have observed, and I'll let her speak to it also, is the difference in which teachers are providing more live online instruction versus either sending an email with the work to do on their own, and they're just not getting as much face time with the teachers. That's been the biggest complaint, is I'm not getting enough face time with my teacher.
Well, you're getting a lot of schools, including NYU, and large bodies of students that are filing to the administration for the refunds of their education. I mean, spring semester, was just appalling for many students around the country. Not, elementary kids can't speak for themselves, so they have to rely on their parents. But I'm reading more and more about it. It's getting me a little annoyed, I must say. We're paying for education for students that, are getting substandard quality. So folks have to either, step up the game, or something has to happen immediately to effectively change this across the board.
Well, I just like to add to that, Evelyn, and then I could ask Amy on this, or of course Anthony. But getting back to your company, obviously you're more hands-on with the amount of instructors that you have. So whereas in the college, of course, we're under a guidance. I'm also Professor William Patterson, but getting back to your company, you do have more quality control in that respect because you're dealing with fewer instructors. You know that they're working with this teacher. So is that true that you are, keeping your quality up? And also how, when you transition, you mentioned you did it from Friday we were down and Sunday you're up. How was that transition for you and your students? So twofold question.
I've got to say, one of my silver linings in this whole, terrible time is that the transition was pretty smooth. It was a long couple of days. We did a lot of test runs, but, I would test out the video with our parents, our teachers. We are, on the national level of things with Sylvan, they did a great job of getting us tons of online resources that we could share. Luckily, the technology, a lot of it was there with screen sharing and Zoom and all this, where even students who they don't have books anymore, everything's on Google Classroom, but they are able to just pull up and show their teacher, here's my math problems, I need help. And I've been able to, not just with our students, because I do check in as the teachers are working with the students. They, I get all the links as well, and I can pop in and say hi, see how things are going. But I've been meeting with our parents also, now, especially now that we're quite a few weeks into this. And one of the things I have, to Evelyn's, to what you were saying, parents of all ages, second grade kids, eighth grade kids, seniors. I do have a college calculus student that we help pretty regularly. All of them have said, they just need more time. They need someone to talk with live to walk them through this. And Anthony mentioned earlier, people are more grateful than ever for what, we and our teachers are able to provide. That student can just show you and say, I don't understand this. I need help with this. Did I do this right? Instead of, emailing a teacher and trying to figure out a 10-step Algebra 2 problem via email. Like, you need someone there writing it out, showing you step by step. So they've, it was a pretty smooth, as smooth a transition as it could be, I think.
Yeah, that was a funny part for us, or the I don't know so much that it was exciting, but when we're instructing in our learning center, Amy walks around to the different tables where the students and the teachers are, and we'll lean in, see how things are going. I do the same thing. So that was kind of taken away from us with this, right? Although, as Amy mentioned, she gets the invite for each session between student and teacher. I get the invite as well. So there are times where a student and teacher are working together, and then Amy pops in and I'm in also. So all of us are kind of standing around the student's table and teacher and discussing things together. So we laughed a little bit about that for a while, because she'd pop out of one table and go to another one, and we'd see each other over and over in different rooms working with the students. So yeah.
Well, let me ask you, as far as personnel, then, when you said that you're in a horseshoe table and one instructor is teaching math to different levels, now if you're doing it online, is that student only getting that one teacher, and that one teacher is per client? So personnel-wise, how are you adjusting, the rate? Maybe you're not changing the rates with the students, but obviously if you had 5 students in that 1 hour session, a certain amount is coming in. Now you have that one instructor teaching one student at a time. That's 5 hours for that same person that dealt with 5 people. How does that play into the picture?
It's we're biting a bullet for the short term because we're so worried about our students that because as I said, we've been doing this a long time, and when this is all over, we still need to be around. We need to for parents to say, as awful as things were, Sylvan never let us down, right? They always did what they could. Now, and it's only ever 3-to-1 when it comes to the student to teacher ratio ever. So we're going from 3 down to 1-on-1 for a lot of these students. We do foresee very shortly switching to 2-on-1, where because we can have a couple of students together. 3-on-1 is difficult in terms of instruction online. So we'll be doing some 2-on-1 shortly. And then, we love to get back to things that are somewhat normal at some point, which may be a teacher with a student in a learning center and a virtual student at her table as well. So we're looking towards the future as well, but still trying to just deliver the best service we can.
Great. As we're getting towards the end of your segment, we have a little networking after, but we still have a few more minutes. Of course, this started because of the pandemic that we're in and the emergency situation. Now that you started doing more online, right? Do you foresee that as a future for you? Do you see you might not be able to have students back in your classroom, in your facility, even maybe in September? So
right, this is going to become the new norm. At least that's what we're hearing.
Is this the new norm for your company, that you might want to also say, okay, we do have classes, but now we're also doing online classes for certain people? Maybe it's another way for you to transition your business into having also online as an option, because some people would rather have online because they don't want to come. Or
a little bit like you've been eavesdropping on our conversations, Alan.
We've talked about this so much.
Of course. Well, all businesses are, right? That's what we're up against, and really that's where this webinar really started. So give us a little insight to that, how you're thinking about what you're doing.
Well, I'll give this one example of how we see some things changing, and Amy can talk to it as well, but our SAT and ACT prep students often have very busy schedules. They're prepping sophomore into junior year, and that's a really busy time. And that's the challenge, is trying to figure out a schedule that works for them always. And it always works out. We've always been able to do it, but it's difficult with this online piece. My hope is, let's assume it goes back to real normal instead of the new normal, that there may be a student who comes to our center on a Wednesday evening from 6 to 8. Instead of trying to find a second day where a student can come to the center to prep, maybe that second day is at home, and it's the same teacher that they know, but we do it just like we're doing right now, and it's Sunday from 11 to 1 or Saturday time, and they don't have to make that second trip to the center, and it doesn't conflict with their sports, their activities, their homework. So we do think it opens up some opportunities for students. We really do hope to get back in the center. There's something special about that interaction when it's kind of eyeball to eyeball. So if we can't do that completely, and we can have a hybrid type situation where we keep everyone a little bit safer by only having them come into the center half as much as they would. I'm hoping that's where we end up, as opposed to just having to do things like this Zoom always.
Well, let me ask, because I'm looking at Evelyn's room over there in the other room. And if you notice, it's Bugs Bunny. That was Bugs Bunny. My daughter, who's graduating law school, and she's getting a JD, but she's teaching online Chinese students English. And I remember when she first started, it just was an extra job she picked up besides whatever else she does. And she was watching them, and she had so many students. She started and had a flood of Chinese students because obviously they were wearing masks. They were in quarantine in
It hit them first.
Yeah, they were
had
there.
to adjust very quickly.
And she was watching them and saying, oh my God, my students, they can't go out, they can't learn. Look at all the students I'm getting because they're in quarantine. And then weeks later, it hit us. And we said, wow, that was like freaky in a way, so.
But there was, I don't mean to chime in, but there was a program that had been developed, quite some time ago that is actually very, very good. And they've devised it in such a way where it's really intricate, but it's made and geared for online training. And, it hits kids of all ages, is very specific to the age group, is very thorough, and is very effective. And it was very easy for her, my daughter, who would be the teacher, to acclimate and jump right into that type of training model. So I think that we're a little behind in that regard, and we need to kind of get up to speed with that. But I don't think it would be such a terrible thing. I mean, we've got audio learning, now we've got, to adjust here in this country to this format of learning. I don't think it would be so terrible. You could still charge the same money, I guess, but it needs to be effective.
So Anthony, that just business, you said we're listening, we're hearing yours and Amy's conversation. I mean, that is maybe another opportunity, like you said, for you guys to put together an online, more of an online thing, so you can get people outside the Fair Lawn, general area and go international or something like that. I mean, you do have such a quality name. Let's go back to the name of the brand. You have such a quality name that you're running, has the main corporation itself, the main business. What are they saying about online at this point? Are they considering it? Are you working with them, or, what is that? Take it from there.
I've served on the Franchise Owners Association board and piloted a number of programs for Sylvan over the years. So there's a lot of discussion about how we grow as a company. Are there opportunities where franchisees can work together in terms of sharing services that are done online where you don't have to be right in Fair Lawn? We're collaborating with the owners. A woman I've been friends with for a long time. She and her husband own a center in East Brunswick. And same thing for us. And another husband and wife own Nutley and Cranford. And we're collaborating with them, seeing how we can support their students or the students in their area, or vice versa. They may be doing something where if we don't have something set up that fits exactly what a student's need, that we're working with them also. So the company is doing things nationally. We're doing things somewhat regionally. In terms of the regional side, I'm really just trying to partner with people I've known for a long time and trust as well. Because there's a possibility that they could be working with one of our students in the future. We haven't actually done it yet, but we've spoken a lot about how we can make sure we're there for students. Yeah. Great.
I'd like to get ready to close out this segment because we have a little networking to do. I just like to say, thank you so much, both of you, for taking your time. And time is all we have right now. But I think we learned a lot about your school itself, and also just education in general. All from Evelyn, Andrea, who also chimed in, of how this is really affecting all of us and our students, talking about, it's going to be a summer thing. Is this like their new day camp? So if both of you like to give a closing statement, and then we'll wrap it up and have a little networking time before the hour's out. So if you're welcome to just say whatever
Amy?
your closing statement is.
I just want to say thank you again for having us. I've enjoyed many years of different chamber activities. Zoom meeting is a new one for me, but it was really nice to see some familiar faces and meet some new faces. And, whether you have children of your own, know people, we're here. And now, like Alan said, we, even people who were like, you're a little bit far and we have to fight through Route 4. Like, you don't have to do that anymore. You can just, we'll be right here and you'll be right in the comfort of your own home. And we just want to help as many students and families as possible during this whole crisis.
Terrific. And Anthony?
Yeah, it's an interesting time, and not interesting in a great way, that's for sure. But there will be some good things that will come out of it for all businesses. I hope. We think there will be for our students. We mentioned that first Sunday after we closed the schools, we were already testing things. One of our teachers worked with my son, who's not in college physics, but was in honors high school physics. So our first session, he did a physics lesson. He did an honors geometry lesson. His next test, he got an A in the next geometry test. So it was so great to see that it really was the teacher that he saw in the learning center all the time was the same woman he saw online. And then the results were as good as they were when she would see him, they'd see each other in the center. So we'll continue doing what we're doing now and helping as many students as possible. And like everyone else, we're looking forward to a time where we can see people face to face and host a chamber meeting. I know Amy hosted a couple of the under 40 meetings, right, at the Young Professionals meeting for Fairland Chamber at the center. And
Al, you can't go.
Oh, come on. I don't look under 40. I dye it gray.
Amy would be out by herself at all times, I think. But,
all right. So I like to say once again, I like to thank Anthony DiGiacomo, and who's the Sylvan owner for over 20 years, and Amy Feast, Sylvan director in Fairlawn for over 5 years, and an active chamber member. And I'll thank him again at the end. So I'm going to open up the forum. That was great insight into your business. I'd like to just open up the forum if anybody like to say hello and network a little bit, and then we'll close out the meeting in just a couple of minutes. So anybody like to say hello and tell us what you do?
I guess now I'll get my chance to
Now's your chance. Now's your couple of minutes of fame. Hi.
For those who don't know me, I'm Andrea Pass. I'm the owner of Andrea Pass Public Relations. I am native to Fairlawn, graduate of Fairlawn High School. My children are graduates of Fairlawn High School. So we're a true Fairlawn family. And I started my business about 2 years ago, but I've been in the public relations business for over 30 years. And what I do is I secure press coverage for you, your business, your product, your service, your book, you as a personality. And by getting that third-party editorial coverage, you use that to build your brand on your website, on your social media, because when the press is talking about you and interviewing you, it's not paid like advertising. It's giving that trust value. And so even though there's a lot of breaking news, some of you can fit into the breaking news because you're doing things that pertain to what's going on in the world right now with COVID-19. If you have something not pertaining to breaking news, you still have news. And there are media outlets to get that to. Radio shows, podcasts, TV, blogs, online media, online video outlets, TV, newspapers. you name it, we absorb 11 hours of media a day as Americans. I mean, it's crazy. So public relations should be part of your marketing mix, especially as we're pivoting and changing in the world. Andrea passed public relations. I hope we could connect.
Yeah, it's terrific. I think we have to talk after.
Let's do that.
You certainly should.
I will put my contact in the chat.
Certainly do that, please, Andrea. Tam, would you like to say hello?
Oh, hi, good morning. I was unmuting. Sorry about that.
Yes, hi.
Hi, well, thanks for having me. I'm Tamara Vaughn. I'm from Bergen Community College. I'm the manager of, what am I the manager of? No, I'm just kidding. No, it's like I've been out of the office so long. But we are working at home. So I'm the manager of business development in the continuing education and workforce development department. So I'm happy to be here. I'm really happy to be a part of the Fair Lawn Chamber. You've been very supportive of us, and we have a lot of activities. And just for those that may or may not know on the call, we do offer a lot of good resources. One of them that you might want to try if you've never tried anything in continuing education through our corporate training department, we do have free training classes that are supported through the NJVIA grant. And right now we do have a class coming up Monday for XL1, and we're going to have XL2, and we're going to have business math. And if you like, if I can share all this in an email so everybody can get access to the links. And we have something coming up with managing online also that will be covered by the grant. Also another training that will not be free, but it will be to help businesses reopen. And it's been created by our health professions department. That's called airborne pathogens, and it's about helping businesses reopen and what they need to do. And the one thing I do want to say about our corporate training department, because we're a community college, our value, of course, we have access to amazing academic people and also people in real world experience. But our corporate training prices are more community college priced. So that's something I hope you keep in mind if you are looking to use any sort of resources when you start to reopen. We offer many other things as well. We also have our own little B2B at BCC. If anyone wants to participate, we just did one on Google Analytics. I'm happy to share the webcast call, WebEx call. We recorded it with Becky Livingston, and she's one of our instructors. And she's really going over the back end of the Google Analytics and how you can really get your website noticed and how you can control and really use all those free services that are there. So if anyone is interested, I'm more than happy to share all that information because we do have so many good resources. And it's funny because people like community college, corporate training, what? But many nationally, and even I was on a call yesterday, a great WebEx call, which is for developing for myself. And the gentleman who was running the call is based in Canada. So the Canadians also have a lot of Canadians on those calls, do a lot of corporate training in Canada. And we help each other like a lot of the things here. And by the way, I should have said this in the beginning. I just really, I want to give a round of applause to all the educators out there that are having to deal with this shift. You're all doing an amazing job. I know my neighbor works in the public school system. She's a social worker in Bergen County, and I know they're trying not to fail kids. They're really not failing kids, and understanding all the everything all the families are going through. I have 3 grown children, thank God. I don't know how I would deal with this with them. I'd probably kill them all. I just really don't know how I would have done it back in the day when they were, they're all in their 30s now. Thank God. I just really give parents credit. But we have a lot of services for you that hopefully will be helpful. And you know where we are. So,
hey, Tamara, Amy and I both did the Excel classes.
Oh, good.
So that's why you raised your hand like that.
I think you both look so familiar. I've definitely seen you both before.
Right. I think we're sitting next to each other in Lyndhurst, right?
That's where we were. Thank you. That was when I just started. I've only
just started. That's right.
College.
I'm friends with Chinza Diorio too.
Chinzia is my boss. I adore her. She is the best.
Yeah.
And, we're all having to adjust to when some of our trainings through continuing ed have moved online. But, isn't it funny? We always talk about this, and I think the Sylvan people and, I hope, Alan, you'll just in higher ed and, we have everything. But when it comes to, it's very left behind in a lot of ways when it comes to technology, and also kind of the stubbornness of changing the culture of the college. And that's something that we face, I'm sure, obviously Harvard to Bergen Community College and everything in between. So, it's interesting to see and now people are, I guess, what is it? My mother always said, necessity is the mother of invention. So, things will never go back. I don't think totally. Right. We will be doing a lot of hybrid because, and I don't want to sound like one of those Debbie Downer, but I love that skit in SNL, by the way. But, when we do return and the weather gets cold again, they're talking about a second wave, and who knows? Alan and Amy, you may be so busy and again online in the fall, and and it's weird because it will help your business, but it's devastating, and it's the worst reason why. But really, schools and institutions and everyone in general has to prepare, because as the weather gets cold again, people are going to let their guard down in the summer. It's only human nature that we act this way. But then when the fall comes back again, I think we may very well have students at home again, and a lot of businesses. Yeah. So the world I think it's changed forever. Yeah. And again, I don't mean to sound like a doomsayer. I don't want to be negative, but it's just about, we have to think proactively. Right? We have to think proactively and always think about what could possibly be next.
Great. Thank you, Ted.
Well, thank you. I'll stop talking.
Thank you. Stay with us. Let's close it out. Jack.
Good morning.
You like to say hello?
In spite of what it says on the lower corner of my screen,
Loretta.
I'm using my wife's laptop to access these Zoom sessions. So, but I am indeed Jack of all shades.
There you go.
The residential and commercial painter in this group. I've been with
How are you painting virtually, Jack?
I'm probably one of the few businesses that can't even think about going. Online. I have to be there with a brush in my hand, and I even have to be there to do estimates. I'm getting calls from people who want me to give them a ballpark on a project, and they can tell me, how big the room is, and it's just not physically possible.
Have them take their phone around the entire property, and you
need to see the condition of things, and it's unfortunately, I've tried it a couple of times and it never works out. I always get there and find a different scenario than I envisioned, and ultimately I'm stuck with the price that I gave them, and I end up hurting myself.
Yeah.
But anyhow, I've been with the chamber now since the day I opened my business 13 years ago. I currently hold a seat on the executive board, and I love the chamber and the exposure that it gives me.
Terrific. Victoria?
Hi, everybody. Just quickly, think about anyone in your life who is struggling with paperwork, administrative tasks, reconciliation, reimbursements, any kind of paperwork nightmares that people are in. As a daily money manager, I serve mostly seniors, but I also have busy professionals who just hate paying the bills and dealing with the loads of mail and paperwork that they're getting in their lives, and especially now with loans and everything going on. I think that a lot of people are struggling with all of the administration of these details of their lives. I'm a local Fair Lawn person, though I'm not originally from here. I'm originally a Central Jersey girl. And I started my daily money management practice about 2 years ago now. and I go to people's homes. So for me, this has been a challenging time. My seniors, some of them are in facilities. I also lost my mother a month ago today, 4 weeks ago today. So she was in her her mid 90s. So
she's young.
But it's never right. She was young.
That's terrible.
It's never easy. And she sort of had the virus too, but it's not clear whether that, it really sort of precipitated her death or whether, it had nothing to do with it it's just so hard to know today. But I have lost some clients, so I need to rebuild my business. This has been a time for me to sort of figure out how I can work with my clients remotely. And I've successfully done that with the majority of my clients, actually, which is good.
You tell them to just mail everything in, Victoria?
I have people mailing things. I pick things up. If they're in facilities, the facilities have been great, and they've been holding the mail for me and handing it off. But the sadder part is I call them every week. And they're all isolated in their rooms. Yeah. They're not allowed to leave their rooms in these facilities. Sure. And it's already, difficult, especially those with dementia. It's really difficult for them as it is to be, in these facilities. And now they're just sequestered to their rooms and so isolated. And it is just terrible. And I find that the facilities are not doing enough to really keep them engaged. One of my clients is at an independent living facility, and I'm in shock. They don't have an in-house channel to even keep them, occupied with Zoom sessions. They could be eating dinner together, on Zoom.
Absolutely. It's a great idea.
Their children or seeing their children online.
Right. And many of them are trying to facilitate that. And they even, I think, are, lending their laptops to people or their iPads just so that they can see their families. But it's a very tough time for them. And it's very disorienting for them. They're not sure, if they've never used FaceTime or anything like that. They don't understand how this technology is working, and it's confusing. And people were saying that they've got family members visiting people who they come to the facility and they stand outside their window. And there was a conference call I was on last week, and the social worker was saying she had to stop that because people were freaking out because people were walking by their windows that they didn't know who they were. And so, if somebody has dementia and they see people walking by their window, it's like, who the heck is that? And so they had to stop those visits. So there's so much going on.
Adjustments
and it's very
our condolences for your mom.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Speaking to I now call my mom. She's 89 in Florida, and just like she's not in a home, but in Century Village. But she used to play cards every day to go to the thing. Now she's in a room. She doesn't have a lot of hobbies that she can do. We're trying to get her to get WhatsApp or something, so she can't even figure out the sentence of getting to WhatsApp. So I call her now every day, once a day. I haven't spoken to my mother once a day, and but I just want to. And she looks forward to one phone call. Or
she doesn't have FaceTime, Alan?
We can't convince her to
she can't figure it out, and I keep trying. Evelyn keeps yelling at me, get her to do that.
Old habits die hard, People are creatures of habit, and it's very hard to change somebody's way of living,
I know.
But it was wonderful seeing you.
Thank you. Before you leave, I just want to say something, because we are going to close out, and Evelyn, and then I'll finish. If you like these meetings, because last week we had 18 people, this week we have a little less. I did have 2 guests last week, and Howard couldn't make it. If you like them, tell the chamber that you like them.
Okay.
Because I like the weekly one. I might bump it down to bi-weekly, and I'm going to say this because they want to cut down on my promotion of this. I like that it goes out before I do the seminar or webinar so people know it's on. Now they just want to put it in their monthly newsletter. And do you think you'll remember in 2 weeks to come online? So I'm having a little skiff, and I don't mind saying it on air. But I think it's a valuable thing to keep our members together. And it's nice to learn about Amy and Anthony and the guests we had last week. And of course now, Andrea, Tam, Jack, Victoria, Evelyn, having you online just to have a few moments as members.
Sure.
And I really did this to promote Spotlight Your Business. So I am spotlighting your business. You're welcome to go now, but if you could send an email, tell them you enjoyed it, and then we could spotlight you as well, Andrea. So
I am not a chamber member.
Oh, you snuck on.
I was invited.
Okay, you're allowed.
I received an email, so unfortunately,
that's fine. I'm just kidding.
Sometimes one cannot join every organization, so
our fees are not that much. It might be worth it to you.
I don't have any money, so when business picks up, I will consider that. Thank you for
loaded.
All right, take care.
All right, thank you for coming on. As we're closing out, Evelyn, would you like to say something, or you want me to close it out?
No, I just think this is a very valuable thing to be doing every week, because while we're not able to go out and hobnob with people and sit in a crowded room, have a casual glass of wine and socialize, this is as close as we're going to get. So I think it's imperative, because I find that, out of sight, out of mind. Our brains get kind of cobwebby if we're not active, and we need it right now. It's a little bit of stimulation overload because there are so many webinars. Everybody wants to monopolize on our time and jump on this one, jump on that one. You feel like a yo-yo, but it is important for chamber meetings. We are paying dues. We should be using our dues at the very least to get together weekly to give each other updates on our business. We're all local people, and it's nice to know if you've got an idea that's working for you in these times, share it with your neighbor, as we would do equally.
Great. All right. So
I enjoyed it.
Very much.
Loved seeing you all.
Thank you very much. I'd just like to say as I close out, thank you very much for joining us. Thank you for joining us. Thank you to our guests from Sylvan Learning. Thank you, Anthony and Amy. It was a pleasure to have you. Thank you, the Fair Lawn Chamber of Commerce, for having me. My name is Alan Cohen, Managing Director of Living Great Real Estate. Remember, living great, it's the only way to live. Let's stay positive, let's stay safe, and be well, everybody. Peace, and over and out. Thank you.
Thanks, Alan.